They told you to chase success. They told you to dream big. They handed you a checklist and said, do these things and you'll be happy. But they never told you the truth. The real battleground isn't out there in the world. It's inside your mind. The war isn't for your time, your money, or even your attention. It's for your thoughts, because whoever, or whatever, controls your mind controls your life. Think about that. Your thoughts are the architects of your reality. Every breakthrough, every collapse, every miracle, every failure, it all started in the silent chambers of the mind. Before empires rose, before fortunes were built, before lives were transformed, the blueprint was drawn in the invisible ink of thought. The mind is not a servant by default. It is a wild horse, a raging ocean, a storm that bends to no man, unless he commands it. If you do not learn to rule over it, it will rule over you, not with whips and chains, but with doubt, fear, distraction, and illusion. That's the secret history of every man who failed before he even began. He lost the war within before stepping onto the battlefield. Let me tell you what they don't teach in schools. Henry Ford didn't invent the automobile, but he mastered something far greater, mental discipline. While others were caught in the inertia of disbelief, Ford stood with unwavering conviction and said, whether you think you can or you think you can't, you're right. And he was, because the human mind is a factory. It manufactures whatever you command, faith or fear, clarity or chaos, power or paralysis. This isn't about positive thinking. This is about intentional thinking. There's a difference. One hopes, the other decides. One floats, the other directs. One is passive, the other is sovereign. You must become the sovereign of your own mind. You must be able to stand in the eye of your own mental storm and say, I decide what I believe. I choose my thoughts. I create my reality. If you can't, you will live under the tyranny of old programming, echoes of childhood fears, societal expectations, broken beliefs inherited from generations of mediocrity. Every day, the world is trying to write its message on the chalkboard of your mind. Fear sells, doubt spreads, chaos screams louder than calm. And if you do not guard your mind like a fortress, you will be infiltrated, subtly, slowly, completely. Ask yourself this: what beliefs are running your life right now? Were they consciously chosen or passively accepted? Are they empowering you or limiting you? Do they lead you toward your vision, or keep you running in circles? Thomas Edison failed thousands of times. And every time he trained his mind to see failure not as a tombstone, but as a stepping stone. That wasn't luck. That wasn't genetics. That was control, inner mastery. He understood something we all must. If you command your mind, you command the future. Let others be ruled by emotion, by fear, by impulse. You are here to master yourself, because until you do, everything else is fragile. Wealth built on a scattered mind will vanish. Relationships built on insecurity will collapse. Dreams built without belief will wither. Power without control is poison, and that control must begin in the one place no one else can touch, your inner world. Think of the mind like fertile soil. Whatever seed you plant, thoughts of courage or despair, abundance or scarcity, it will grow. Not because the soil is biased, but because it obeys without judgment. That's why the undisciplined mind is so dangerous. It grows weeds just as easily as it grows wheat. This is not just about thinking better. This is about training your mind the way a warrior trains his body, daily, deliberately, unapologetically. Mental strength is not inherited. It is forged in solitude, in silence, in the invisible moments when no one is watching, and you are left alone with your doubts. That's when the transformation begins, not when you feel strong, but when you decide to act strong in the face of mental chaos. Abraham Lincoln battled deep inner turmoil. He faced failure after failure. But inside, he cultivated a mind strong enough to hold the Union together in its darkest hour. Not because he never felt fear, but because he never let fear lead. That's what separates the ordinary from the legendary. Not the absence of storms, but the mastery of mind within the storm. And what about you? What story are you letting your mind tell you right now? That you're not ready, that you're too late, that you're not enough. These are not truths. They are programs, scripts written by past pain, projected onto your future. But here's the truth they didn't teach you. You are the author now. You are the gatekeeper. You get to rewrite it all, if you're willing to take control. Control doesn't mean suppression. It means alignment. It means you command your thoughts the way a conductor commands an orchestra. You choose what to amplify and what to silence, what to elevate and what to dismiss. And you start by becoming aware. You cannot change what you do not notice. So notice. Notice when doubt creeps in. Notice when fear tightens its grip. Notice the inner narrative that plays like a broken record. That's the first step. And then replace it, not with empty affirmations, but with conscious declarations backed by action, because nothing rewires the mind faster than action aligned with intention. That is the lever, that is the ignition. The mind will resist at first. It always does, like a prisoner who's grown fond of his chains, but you must be stronger than your excuses, bolder than your fears, more loyal to your vision than your history. When Walt Disney was told he had no imagination, he didn't argue. He imagined anyway. He saw what others couldn't. He believed what others mocked. He understood that belief isn't about external validation. It's an internal contract, a vow, a knowing. You must know, not hope, not wish, not wait. You must know that your mind is yours to command, and if you don't seize that responsibility, someone else will. Your past, your peers, your patterns. They will drive your life while you sit quietly in the passenger seat, wondering why you're always lost, but not anymore. Now you awaken. Now you choose. Because once you awaken, once you start steering your mind with intention, the old programming doesn't vanish. It fights back. Like shadows clawing at the edges of light, your old thoughts will resist your new identity. Doubt will whisper. Fear will bargain. The comfort of who you used to be will seduce you with familiar chains. But you are no longer that person. You are no longer sleepwalking through your potential. You are wide awake now, and awakening demands sacrifice. You must let go of the lies that kept you small. You must bury the language of limitation. You must kill the comfort that has kept you broke, tired, average, because the moment you claim power over your mind, everything changes. The temperature of your life rises. Your energy, your focus, your decisions, they begin to radiate from a higher plane. You're not just reacting to life anymore. You're creating it, designing it, shaping it with precision. This is what separates the great from the forgotten. Not talent, not luck. Control. Control of the inner world when the outer world is falling apart. Nelson Mandela spent 27 years in prison, but he said, "I am the master of my fate. I am the captain of my soul." That's not poetry. That's power. That's a man who understood that while they could chain his body, they could never enslave his mind. And that made him unbreakable. If your mind is free, nothing can contain you. If your mind is disciplined, no obstacle can dominate you. If your mind is clear, no confusion can consume you. So ask yourself, are you feeding your mind garbage or greatness? Are you scrolling through noise or studying your purpose? Are you filling your mind with what builds you or what breaks you? Every thought you permit is a vote for the person you are becoming. Cast those votes like your life depends on them, because it does. Clarity is not an accident. It is the reward for those who filter the noise, who silence the distractions, who say no 1,000 times so they can say yes to purpose. And make no mistake, purpose begins in the mind long before it is born in action. Andrew Carnegie didn't stumble into wealth. He visualized it. He saw it in his mind so vividly that the world had no choice but to catch up. He said, Think of yourself as on the threshold of unparalleled success. A whole, clear, glorious life lies before you. Achieve, achieve. That is not motivation. That is mental alignment. That is a man who understood the ancient law. What the mind can conceive and believe, it can achieve. But you must be ruthless about your vision. You must protect it like a sacred fire. Because the world will try to blow it out, life will throw storms at it. But if the fire burns from within, if your mind stays lit, nothing can extinguish it. You are not your past. You are not your trauma. You are not your mistakes. You are what you choose to think, moment to moment. Identity is fluid. You can become a new force of nature if you feed your mind new beliefs, new rituals, new visions. This is your rebirth. But it's not handed to you. It's claimed, fought for, demanded, through repetition, through visualization, through absolute faith. Faith not in magic, but in law, the law that says you are the cause, not the effect. The law that says reality bends not to wishes, but to will. The law that says if you train your mind will train your actions, and your actions will train your destiny. You must believe when no evidence exists. You must speak life when the world speaks defeat. You must hold the image of your highest self in your mind so clearly that the lesser version of you cannot survive. That is the power of mental discipline. That is the root of every miracle disguised as success. Because when you learn to control your mind, you will no longer be swayed by the tides of emotion. You'll no longer be held hostage by circumstances. You'll stand tall, grounded in your truth, unshakable in your pursuit. This is not theory. This is transformation, and it begins the moment you stop asking how long it will take and start deciding who you must become. Because once the mind is aligned, the path forward demands more than clarity. It demands motion. Thought without action is potential unrealized. A mind filled with vision but empty of movement becomes a dreamer's graveyard. You were not born to imagine alone. You were born to build. The bridge between your thoughts and your destiny is discipline, and discipline is not punishment. It is freedom. It is the ultimate proof that you are in control. Anyone can drift, anyone can react, but only the sovereign mind can choose a path and walk it, even when comfort begs you to turn around. Discipline is what separates those who dabble from those who dominate. It's what transformed Edison from an experimenter into an icon. Day after day, failure after failure, he didn't just think about electricity. He pursued it with relentless, focused action. He didn't rely on inspiration. He relied on intention. He mastered the art of doing what needed to be done, especially when he didn't feel like doing it. Feelings are liars. They are temporary. They are weather systems. But your vision must be the compass that overrides them. You want to know how the greats are made. They do it anyway. Tired, they do it anyway. Afraid, they do it anyway. Uncertain, they act with certainty until certainty catches up. They don't wait for motivation. They generate it. They don't wait for opportunity. They create it. That is control. That is power. That is the essence of ownership over your mind and your life. If you want to rise, you must anchor your mind in purpose and direct your body with precision. No wasted motion, no scattered energy, no chasing shadows. Every step intentional, every move sacred. And when the world offers you shortcuts, reject them. When it tempts you with easy paths, remember that ease is a drug. It numbs the mind and dulls the edge of your greatness. The cost of comfort is your crown. Nothing beautiful is born from laziness. Nothing legendary is born from excuses. Your mind was built to command reality, but only if it is backed by action, discipline, and belief so strong it shakes the bones of doubt. Let others hit snooze on their calling. Let others chase dopamine instead of destiny. You are different. You are chosen, not by fate, but by decision, and your decision must be relentless, not once, not sometimes, every day. Carve it into your rituals, write it in your posture, etch it into your breath. Let your actions shout louder than your affirmations. That is how the mind is rewired, not just through thought, but through repetition. Consistency is the alchemy that turns invisible beliefs into visible results. And when failure comes, and it will, don't flinch, don't retreat, don't start over, lean in, study it, learn from it, use it, because the man who controls his mind sees failure not as defeat, but as data. Not as rejection, but redirection. That's how resilience is born. Not from avoiding pain, but from making pain your teacher. Abraham Lincoln lost more elections than most people run in. Yet he kept going. Because he wasn't just chasing a title. He was guided by an inner compass that could not be broken. His setbacks didn't derail him, they refined him. That's what happens when your mind is governed by principle, not preference. Let that be you. Let your actions be forged by values, not moods. Let your decisions be driven by vision, not validation. Let your mission be so loud in your head that you don't hear the noise of the world. And in the stillness of that focused pursuit, something will shift. The struggle will transform into fuel. The resistance will turn into rhythm. The chaos will bend to your clarity, because now you are not chasing success. You are embodying it. Every disciplined action is proof. Every intentional move is a declaration. Every moment of silence you choose over distraction. Every rep you push when no one is watching. Every hour you spend in deep work instead of shallow comfort. It all adds up. It all compounds. It all matters. Control your mind or it will control you. It will tell you to quit. It will tell you to wait. It will whisper that you're not ready, that you're not worthy, that it's too late. Don't listen. Speak back louder. Speak with your actions. Speak with your habits. Speak with your hunger. Now, as you stand in the furnace of discipline and action, a deeper transformation calls to you. The mind is not merely a tool to be wielded. It is a garden to be cultivated, and what you cultivate in your mind determines the landscape of your entire existence. Gratitude is the soil in which greatness grows. You might resist this. You might think gratitude is softness, a fleeting emotion, a cliché reserved for those who have made it. But the truth, as Carnegie and Hill understood deeply, is that gratitude is a form of mental sovereignty. It is a choice to acknowledge abundance even amid chaos. It rewires the mind from scarcity to sufficiency, from lack to leverage. Imagine the mind as a vast ocean. Gratitude is the anchor that holds your ship steady through the fiercest storms. Without it, you drift, lost in waves of frustration, envy, and despair. With it, you stand firm, rooted in the truth that no matter the circumstance, there is something to build upon. Look at the greatest leaders, the most unstoppable creators. From Lincoln's quiet appreciation for his supporters, to Edison's thanks for every failed experiment that taught him a lesson, to Disney's unyielding joy in every small victory, gratitude was their secret weapon. It was not passive or weak. It was fierce and empowering. Gratitude sharpens your mind's focus on what is, so you can create what could be. It opens the doors to resilience by reminding you that you have already overcome. It fuels your vision by proving that the universe conspires with those who appreciate its gifts. When you wake each day, do not begin by lamenting what you lack. Begin by acknowledging what you have. The breath in your lungs, the fire in your heart, the vision in your mind, that is power. That is the foundation of all achievement. Gratitude shifts your mind from victimhood to victory. It rewrites the narrative from why me to what's next. It invites possibilities rather than blockades. It trains your mind to seek solutions rather than excuses. And in that shift, your mind ceases to be a battlefield and becomes a sanctuary, a place of strength, clarity, and creative power. But gratitude alone is not enough. It must be paired with adaptability, because the world is a tempest, and the mind that refuses to bend will break. Henry Ford did not create the automobile by clinging to the past. He adapted relentlessly. He tested, failed, revised, and innovated. He allowed his mind to pivot, to evolve, to conquer the unknown. That is the mark of mental mastery, the ability to hold fast to your purpose while adjusting your methods. Rigid minds crack under pressure, flexible minds endure. The oak breaks in the storm, but the willow survives by bending. Adaptability demands humility, the humility to admit when you're wrong, when a path is blocked, when a new idea is better. It demands courage, the courage to let go of old identities, old comforts, old assumptions. It demands vision, the vision to see opportunity where others see obstacles. You must become like water, shaping yourself to the contours of life without losing your essence. Flow where the path opens, resist where the path harms, persist where the path challenges. This is not passive surrender, it is active mastery. When your mind is both grateful and adaptable, you become unstoppable. You become the eye of the hurricane, calm and powerful, drawing strength from chaos without being consumed. And from this place, resilience blossoms, not the brittle kind that shatters under pressure, but the steel, strong kind that bends and springs back stronger. Resilience is not about avoiding failure, it is about transcending it. It is the refusal to let setbacks define you. It is the conviction that every scar carries wisdom, every loss carries lessons, every delay carries preparation. The mind trained to resilience views obstacles as invitations to grow. It sees pain not as punishment, but as power. It understands that the road to greatness is paved with challenges, and that challenges are the chisel sculpting your character. When you build resilience, you do not merely survive, you thrive, you transform, you become a force that cannot be stopped. This force starts in your mind, because control over your mind means control over your response to every moment, especially the hardest one. So, when doubt presses in, you hold your ground. When fear calls your name, you answer with courage. When failure looms, you meet it with resolve, because your mind is no longer a place of chaos. It is a command center. It is your fortress. It is the source of your power, and this power feeds one final truth, the relentless pursuit of learning, the great master. Edison, Lincoln, Carnegie, Disney, they were all eternal students. They knew that the mind can never stop growing, that knowledge and growth are the fuel that feed the fire of transformation. You must adopt the same hunger, the hunger not just for success, but for mastery. Not just for victory, but for wisdom. Every day, seek to learn, seek to expand your mind, challenge your beliefs, push your limits, read, listen, observe, question, because stagnation is the enemy of control. A mind that stops learning starts to decay. A mind that refuses to grow surrenders its power. Control your mind by feeding it excellence. Control your mind by guarding it from poison. Control your mind by becoming a relentless learner, a fierce warrior, and a humble servant to your own growth. This is the final key, because control of the mind is not a destination. It is a lifelong journey, one that demands vigilance, courage, and devotion, and those who walk this path become the masters of their fate, the captains of their souls. They become unstoppable forces of nature in a world that tries to convince them otherwise. Control your mind, or it will control you. Own your thoughts, own your beliefs, own your vision, own your destiny, because your mind is the soil from which your life blooms. Water it with discipline, sunlight it with gratitude, shape it with adaptability, strengthen it with resilience, and nourish it with endless learning. And you will grow into the person you were always meant to be, unshakable, unbreakable, unstoppable.